What did the pandemic ruin more than we realize? This might just be local, but where I live, a shit ton of businesses closed. I mean, half of them were closed. Not just because of the shutdown. They were closed permanently. The health system is wrecked. Way too many nurses got burnt out and left the profession. Independent, smaller, DIY music venues never really recovered. People's driving is so out of whack. My only concern is to make it home in one piece. People seem so much shittier in large group public situations now. I don't know what it is. But etiquette in places like a movie theater used to be standard. But every experience I've had lately has been horrible. People talking, sitting there on their phones, and other just generally bad things. I've heard the same about concerts, but haven't been to as many myself. I've heard from others where people used to be polite, help each other up in pits and stuff and so on. They now just don't give a fuck. It's like people are just more rude now for some reason. I'm really interested to know if this is happening everywhere or if I just live in a shitty rude ass place. My social, work life. After living like a hermit for 2 years and working from home, it's taking me a long time to go out like before. Who was actually the worst president ever? The president of the Selena fan club. Mobutu Sese Seko, president of Zaire, aka Democratic Republic of the Congo, by far is the worst president. After deposing and executing the former president Patrice Lumumba, he then went to turn the country to an insanely corrupt autocracy, gutting the natural wealth of the country as well as its institutions to enrich himself to the tune of up to $15 billion. The man had the country build him an airstrip in the middle of the jungle near a palatial estate, known as the Versailles of the jungle, so that he can charter a Concorde to take him to go shopping in Paris. There were uncountable human rights violations and massacres attributed to him during his rule. His support for the Hutu extremists after the Rwandan genocide directly led to the First and Second Congo Wars, which attributed to the deaths of some 6 million people. Yeah, American presidents don't come close to how terrible this guy was. Pol Pot. Assuming president just means leader of a country, not counting Hitler. Easily Pol Pot. Just supremely evil, and his actions go under the radar because it happened in country the West rarely thinks about. Robert Mugabe. Probably a pretty good rundown. Here, https://money.cnn.com/2017/11/20one/news/economy-history-robert-mugabe-resigns/index.html. Steve, senior high-class president, class of 1992. You ran on a platform of getting porno mags in the school library. It's been 30 years, Steve. There are still no porno mags in the school library. If you saw someone carrying an AR-15 walking across a parking lot toward a big store or a mall, what would you do? Go the other way. Call 911 as I go the opposite direction, get in my car and leave. Call 911 and get the hell out of there, possibly simultaneously. I'm in Texas, so it's not normal by any means. Just a tad out of place. Call the cops and leave ASAP. As I live in Germany, I would immediately call the police, because openly carrying an AR-15 is a violation of the Kriegswaffenkontrollgesetz, law about the control of weapons of war. I guess. Living in Australia, I would probably shit bricks and run the other way. What profession do you think has the most psychopaths? In my experience, the kitchens seem to have a disproportionate amount of fucking lunatics, but I'm unqualified to say how many are literal psychopaths. I remember reading about a neuropsychologist who was using MRI or something equivalent, to link certain brain structures with psychopathy. The results were promising and there seemed to be strong correlation between patients diagnosed with psychopathic disorder and malformation, degradation of specific regions of the brain. This could serve as a diagnostic aid, in that people who exhibited similar degradation may be at greater risk for the disorder. One of his colleagues asked if he had tested it on himself, and he hadn't. So, just to humor his colleague, the doctor that developed the analysis had a scan done of his own brain and checked the designated regions. He had the degradation associated with psychopathic disorder. And his colleague basically said, "I'm a little surprised, but not very surprised." Unofficially? Influencers and politicians. Look at the behavior of influencers and you'll see what I mean. I want to say about a third of security guards are batshit crazy. Politicians. Evangelical large congregation leader dude like Danny McBride in Righteous Gemstones. Those guys. What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore? Service fees. What am I paying for when someone delivers my food to me if it doesn't include the services required to have food delivered to me? Payday loans. Convenience fees. Ticket resellers. Tickets go on sale. No. Oh wait, sorry, sold out, but if you head over there you can buy the same ticket for $200 more than we sold it to them for. Unpaid internships where you get paid with experience, food at the office and exposure. Subscription-based software usually on a cloud and they force you to make monthly payments instead of buying it. What's the reason you chose your username? You see, I took my gamertag and it was taken, so I added underscore, which was also taken, so I added another underscore, which in fact was also taken. So I repeated it until Reddit accepted it. Because, as you can see from my choice of username, I am a very creative person. I was asked to come up with the name of a bong in a young adult novel, and I liked it. I drink a lot and I am an engineer. There weren't any names. Pandemic and I like cats. What's something people falsely assume is healthy? Getting diet advice from nutritionists. You need 0 qualifications to call yourself a nutritionist. At least. They're not all bad. Some have done their due diligence with smaller courses, but the only ones with an actual degree in diet and nutrition are dietitians. Fruit juice. All the sugar of fruit, none of the compensating fiber. Cleanses, or detox, things. Your liver and kidneys are quite enough. Trying too hard to cut out fat. It was a propaganda and marketing fad for quite some time to make all this fat-free stuff, often replaced with sugars. And the misinformation absorbed is still affecting some people's habits and maybe even preferences. The Institute of Medicine and the American Heart Association recommend a total fat intake of 25 to 35% of calories. From the insulin resistance perspective, it's more ideal for each thing you eat to have some caloric profile balance. A little bit of carbs and fat in everything. Hence, something like a non-fat latte is a bit strange, since all of its calories would then be from sugar. Total calorie counts can be really important to some people, but the first line should be smaller portions and cutting excess sugar. Leave the poor fat alone. Within reason. Fat also seems to play a role in helping you feel full. https www.sciencestaily.com/releases/2008/10/0810071236447.htm. Exercising too much without rest. XYZ food. People think that food is divided into healthy and unhealthy. Your overall diet is what determines your health outcomes, not the individual pieces of food. You can eat all the healthy ingredients and still have an unhealthy diet. Subscribe, my brothers.